Hello, Voices of Wrestling listener. Dave Ryan here. Have you ever wondered to yourself how many hidden gems are hidden away inside the last years of World Championship Wrestling? Have you ever asked yourself how many tenuous gags can be made about the name Mike Enos? And have you ever thought about what it sounds like for two Irishmen to interpret a very chaotic company through its B show? The answers to all this and more are just a click away. Check out Days of Thunder every second Thursday on the Voices of Wrestling podcast network.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you work your A game. A man, no lanes on the track when we unite and spit. This is an A game, better bring your A game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you work your A game. A man, no lanes on the track.
Hey now, it's the Mike and JD show, and I am your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm joined as always by JD by God Oliva. And before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to Godilla and Rev of EMS for that theme song, because
love it.
I feel like as the show is starting to grow and more people are starting to get into it, they notice that our theme song is a fucking banger, and it is, and it's because my buddy Godilla is like the opening voice you hear on that. So go ahead and check that out on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your songs. You can download it. They also have a YouTube video. They have like a full-blown music video for it. So it's called A Game by Rev of EMS and Godilla. So everybody check that out. How you doing, JD?
Our buddy.
Yes,
my buddy as well. So I was last week we pitched the idea of me doing like a Dynamite review, and I got Dynamite interrupted last night. I had a conference call for something. I'll discuss at a later time. So I had to go back and watch the end of Dynamite, and I got to school this morning and I laid down 35 minutes of audio, and then my co-teacher came in the room to ask me a question, and I answered the question. I felt really good when I answered the question, and then I realized that I deleted 35 minutes of audio that I recorded before school started, and I gave up on life at that point and just played videos in class all day because I was defeated by a computer.
So that happened to me 2 weeks ago. So TNA is doing Friday night shows. They actually have one tomorrow night. And so they did one 2 weeks ago. Called JD's not watching TNA again. Honestly, there's too much wrestling out there to watch, so it's like difficult for anybody to. It's hard to follow one company more or less too. But so back to my story. So they had Emergence 2 weeks ago on Friday night. So on Thursday night after we got done, we were done a little bit early. Wife was like at a function. And so I go down and I watched TNA, and Ashley got home and she went straight to bed. And I was like, well, I'm up. I guess I can just do the Impact report tonight. And then tomorrow I'll watch Emergence. And then on Saturday, like the regular time, I'll go live on Patreon and do a chat, but it'll be the Emergence recap. So I laid down. It was like close to 30 minutes. And then I got a phone call. I was just doing it with my phone. And I was doing it downstairs on the couch, chilling with my phone. Doing it, did 30 minutes, got a phone call, and I paused the recording, because you can do that when it's not live. If it's not live, you can just pause it. So I pause it, and then I answer the phone call. It was not important. Hang up the phone, go back to the recording. I thought I restarted, but what I did is I started from the beginning. I started over. I restarted the whole recording, and I didn't know it until after I was done. So I go 20 more minutes of pure gold. I actually uploaded that final 20 minutes to Patreon, just so like the boys in the chat can make fun of me. But yeah, I ended up just doing a double episode that Saturday, like recapping, both Emergence and TNA that week.
Yeah, I was using QuickTime. I had my microphone and I was recording it in class, and I was just using QuickTime. And when you finish with QuickTime, you have to close it and save it, right? And I thought that I saved it correctly. I just closed it. So I teach this stuff. Like, this is my literal job, is to educate youth in how to use these programs and stuff. And I failed us, Mike. I failed us.
Well, you could always get back on that horse
I'll get back.
because the people do want to hear JD's thoughts about Dynamite.
I had good ones too. Like I
Yeah,
thought Dynamite was super interesting last night. Like I thought that it
I
was.
man, I did too, and it wasn't a bad show
No, I
because I thought the angles and the promos were all pretty good, and that's ultimately what wrestling's about. And if you can get the really good matches, you can have that too. But it was weird, and I think the weird part for me was Ricochet, and I don't know why,
hmm.
but he came out and he just felt so unimportant. But I was looking forward to the match of him and Sammy Guevara because I'm like, this is what I wanted from him to come into AEW. Is like, I just want you to do flippy shit. That's it. Just be Ricochet. And he was Ricochet. He really was. But he came out, and for some reason I didn't care. I looked down at my phone, and next thing you know, like 8 minutes goes by, and I look up from my phone, and the match is over. I'm like, oh shit, I missed the whole match. And it wasn't like their fault. I was just like, it's so like I really didn't care about the match. The only thing that compelled me about that television show was the Moxley promo at the beginning, and then the Moxley Darby confrontation and things like that. The actual, I kind of feel like I'm a casual right now, like one of those WWE nerd casuals. Like, well, the wrestling doesn't really matter; it's about the angles. But I kind of felt that way about the show last night.
So I agree. The Ricochet match was with Sammy Guevara, and Sammy. Did you hear? Like I tweeted about. I used to live tweet the whole show, but I just don't have the bandwidth to live tweet a whole show anymore.
Yeah.
Sammy got no reaction really. Right. And granted, he hasn't been on TV much at all in the
No.
last year plus. But I mean, at the same time, like this is a guy that they had real plans for, and he's been suspended 3 times, right?
It's years and years of starts and stops with him, and I don't think that's a booking issue. I think it's a Sammy issue, and I think he's limited as a character.
I agree. I think that no one has gotten as many chances in that company as Sammy Guevara has gotten.
Yeah.
And like there's no stakes really in the match because did anybody think that Ricochet was going to lose to Sammy Guevara? And Ricochet hasn't found his lane yet as a
No.
character on AEW. And that's always been kind of his struggle is finding his lane as a character. So I mean, like, I think you got to give him a little bit of time. Like we were pretty harsh on Monet when she got here. And I think she found her lane as a character and is a pretty good character at this point. Her wrestling's been surprisingly nyeh. But I mean, like character wise, I think it's been better as of late. I think Camille helps complete that whole thing. But I thought
I think,
yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just think I think Monet is better in doses, like
I agree.
small doses. I think that when the longer she's on TV, the less I care.
I agree with you. I think some people are better in small doses, and not everyone should be. And it's I think when people get on this company about that, but I think it's actually a strength of the company that they do have a deep roster where we don't have to see the same people week in and week out. I think it's better if you don't see the same people week in and week out, and then you don't get tired of them as much. That's my opinion. I know that like a lot of internet people will agree. Why is it Miro on TV? Although you don't see that one anymore. You should see that one all the time.
I keep forgetting that he exists.
I mean, he's still getting paid for reasons.
Good for him, man. He's got that
like,
Lanny Poffo Iron Sheik deal.
I was going to say the Iron
Iron
Sheik in 1989. He's got that whole setup going. Anyways, I thought the show was really dark in timbre last night. I thought the show was really Empire Strikes Becky in that, it feels like all the good guys are super down right now and the bad guys are kind of ruling the roost. And I think this company has needed a bit of a reset for a minute. And I think that this new thing with Blackpool is super interesting right now. I like what Moxley's doing. Our good buddy, we have a good, I don't want to bury him on the air, but we got a good buddy who is not a Marina Shafir fan. I don't like her as a character, but I think that I think there's something about her presence that's intriguing.
Yeah.
Aside from just being good looking and good at judo, like I think that she's interesting and her pairing up with Moxley is intriguing. So, I mean, like, there's a lot going on that I'm interested with. And, like, the more interesting that Jon Moxley becomes, the less relevant the Young Bucks seem. Right?
I could not care less about the Young Bucks right now.
Me neither.
I have no, and I'll be honest, I know that match next week with Kyle Fletcher and Ospreay is going to be really good. It will be. I don't really care. But I am going to watch it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I do think it's going to be a really good match. But I'm just like, just the Young Bucks, I'm like, okay.
Here's why I don't care about that match. Is because it's with Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. I feel like it's just a story to further what's going on with Ospreay and Callis, and it has nothing to do with the tag titles. And the tag titles are super cold right now. Like the
Yeah.
Young Bucks have never meant less in professional wrestling. Like when they made this character change, it was interesting at first, and it's gone nowhere. And like I think the only person to actually benefit from this new elite thing has been Jack Perry. Like, if for some reason he drives a short bus, so I don't know what that means,
Yeah,
but like
I was wondering why he's driving a bread truck. That
I I don't I don't get it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's his thing, and I do think he's really found himself as a character, so I'm interested in that. Um, I don't know, man. I was kind of it's interesting. I kind of like seeing this right now because like the heels are definitely ruling the company, and like storyline wise, I am intrigued. I think that we're in a cool place. I don't know what happens to Grand Slam with Darby and Moxley. I could see it going either way, but because again, the shows, the pay-per-views at Tacoma, so you think Darby want the shot, but Moxley versus Bryan is probably the money match right now.
That is the money match, and so I
Yeah.
guess I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I know I think enough time has passed. He's been on TV 3 times, so I think I can safely say this. I think Hill Moxley is the best character in wrestling right now.
I agree.
Yeah, after 3 appearances on television, I'm gonna go ahead and just put that out there. But and Adam Page would be like a close second, and I'll be honest, I gotta shout out Jacob Fatu on WWE. He's
He's
great.
always been great. I'm glad that everyone is discovering how awesome Jacob Fatu is.
Yeah. So, and I don't want to make this like a AEW versus WWE. Like, you guys watching this know JD and I watch a lot more AEW than like anything else. And then of course I watch a lot of TNA, and then for WWE, I only watch like the big shows and I catch clips. So if I'm leaving out WWE town, you guys can go ahead and, give those guys a shout out too. But from what I've seen, Jacob Fatu is like one of the most interesting people I've seen on television in a while, like for that company. But back to my point.
Can I give you a hot take for Jacob Fatu?
Go ahead.
I think he's the best wrestler with that last name possibly ever.
I don't think that you're wrong about that, because you and I have been watching him for years.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not new. Like you were covering MLW for a while.
I made my name as the MLW writer. Like that's how I made my name. So I mean,
I was watching that show pretty religiously, and I actually saw him on the Independence in San Francisco for All Pro Wrestling. Shout out All Pro Wrestling, wrestling there. So I've like been aware of him for almost a decade. So I don't think that's a stretch at all. Now, Roman Reigns, the biggest star of the NOI.
That's not his last name. I said Fatu. I was referring
to
Fatu.
Sorry, yeah.
Specifically, the NOI East. You can make arguments up and down of who the best wrestler in the family is. I do think of that family, the entire family. I do think Jacob Fatu is the best. But of the specific Fatus, I mean, I think he blows the doors off the twins, right? I think he's significantly better than I think he's better than Rikishi was. I think that Jacob Fatu is like a generational talent. And I really believe this. And I've been saying this since he was MLW world champion. I'm just I never thought he'd get his crack because of like his youthful indiscretions. So I'm really, again, I don't like WWE, but I'm really happy that he's getting a chance to really, quite frankly, outshine everyone else in that little faction, and people are taking notice. I mean, it's pretty awesome in my opinion.
Well, and the thing about him, and I would say the same thing about Moxley and current modern Adam Page, because I'll be honest, I was bored with Adam Page for a long time as a babyface. Yeah. But now him with the psycho character and the burning down the house, once they enter the screen, they captivate the audience, and not everybody has that right now. I think those 3 guys, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Gunther too. I think Gunther has that too. But so
similar.
But right now it's Moxley and Adam Page. I do kind of feel bad for Adam Page because he finally found himself as a television character, and he's in this great storyline. And then here comes Mox, and he goes heel. And I think Mox is now better than him being a heel almost. But I probably because of the story, and plus he put a plastic bag on a dude's head and tried to murder him, so that helps. But I mean, that's a good problem to have.
There's a lot of murder. There's a lot of attempted murder going on in AEW right now, which I appreciate as a wrestling fan. So I mean, like, that's okay though to have 2 really awesome heels in a company at one time. Like I go back to NWA 1989, one of my favorite companies, didn't draw a lot of money, but the TV was really good. You had Sting and the Great Muta. I'm sorry, you had Terry Funk and the Great Muta, right? You had two really awesome heels. And you also had Lex Luger, who was really finding his role, his like footing as a heel in the NWA at that time. Like it's good to have really like over heels. And you had Sid Vicious, like it really started to come into his own. Like that's a good thing. I like having like I like saying that, man, we got so many of these awesome heels in this company right now. Now, some of the baby faces need to step up. It seems like Bryan and Swerve are going to fade a little bit, which is good. It gives these heels a chance to really shine. You know what I think this company really misses at the moment?
Omega.
Well, yeah, him too. I mean, like, yeah, they definitely miss Kenny Omega. I was going to say Adam Copeland, actually.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
I think he had done a really good job in a dark period in the company. The early part of this year was a dark period in this company. I think he did a lot to showcase himself as one of the best baby faces. And again, I was very on him coming in. I think that he was able to take his WWE persona and turn it enough to be recognizable, but to find some hooks that worked with this particular audience. And I think he was really starting to get comfortable in that new role before he went too far with the crazy stuff. So
brother, you're 50. Stop
you should not. Well, if you're jumping off a cage, land on your chest. Don't land on your feet. That's a bad move.
Hey, so what do you think of the issue with Jon Moxley so Jon Moxley and Darby? I thought had a very good in-ring segment. I think Darby struggles at promos, but I think he did a pretty good job. He's just not a well-spoken guy, and that's okay. He's a quiet kind of like emo guy.
So did his mentor.
Yeah,
like really, he really is Sting in a lot of ways. Sting was a shit promo for most of his career.
Yeah, definitely. So Moxley comes out and tells Darby that Danielson can't compete at Grand Slam, and so now I want to wrestle you at Grand Slam. And if I win, I get to have your title shot. And then immediately after that,
he said, give me the title shot.
He
told him, I'm
was
taking
like,
this thing. That's what was awesome about that. He's like, I'm not asking, I'm telling you to give it to me.
Yeah.
Great.
It was like, he said it way more badass than the way I'm explaining it.
Well, who's as big a badass as Jon Moxley?
Come on, I know.
Man. That's unfair.
He's so great. But then shortly after that, Nigel comes out and challenges Bryan Danielson to a non-title match, of course. And then Tony Khan makes the match. Now they are leaving it out like, hey, he might not show up, but isn't that like just a significant plot hole, or am I know I'm not the only one. I know that other people have been pointing that out too. I want to know what storyteller, fiction writer JD Oliva thinks about that.
It is a plot hole. You can work around. Here's the reason why the plot hole exists. They ain't selling enough tickets to justify a match like that for Arthur Ashe. They should not be running the venue. But Tony likes he likes his traditions. So storyline wise, I get it. You got to kick the can down the road. Is it a hole? It could be a hole. Like Bryan, like the way I interpret this is Bryan is not defending the title, so Nigel is trying to make him look bad. And can Bryan show up for this match to begin with when he shouldn't be wrestling at all? Is it a hole? Kinda. It's all going to come down to the day's execution.
Yeah. But if he shows, I mean, like, if he's going to be there, shouldn't Darby be getting his match?
No, because Darby gave it away.
Okay.
I mean, they added the loophole before the segment. Is Darby willingly offered up? Now remember, Moxley doesn't. Now here's the key: Moxley doesn't say, "I'm challenging you for your spot." Moxley says, "I'm taking your spot," and Darby offers to, "Will come actually take it from me."
Okay, so he just manipulated Darby, who's a dum-dum, into giving up his spot.
Again, he is literally Sting's mentor. So he's totally following the path of his mentor.
Yeah, like, Sting was the dumbest babyface of all time.
Dumbest babyface of all time. And Darby, it's believable because I love Darby. My son just adores the ground Darby Allin walks on. He's kind of an idiot. Like anyone who gets hit by a bus because, he's skateboarding, kind of an idiot.
Anybody who falls off a ladder through glass is
kind of an idiot. Right.
Yeah.
And it's the character. So it works with the character of Darby Allin. So I'm good with it. He did give away a world title match, but that's kind of stuff baby faces have always kind of done. you know, throughout the history of pro wrestling, dumb shit. Like, I didn't win this title fairly, so I'm handing it back. So I mean, like, I'm not saying it's good, but I think for what's best for the company, I think it's the right move. Is there clunky stuff in the plot? Absolutely. Had Indiana Jones not intervened with the Ark of the Covenant, they would have opened it in Berlin and Hitler would have died, thus ending World War II.
True.
So you know, sometimes stuff in plots, and here's the thing with the plot. Not every plot needs to be clean ABC, because life isn't clean ABC. Like, characters need to make mistakes, right? And the way I interpret this was Nigel is taking advantage of Darby being stupid. Because Brian didn't agree to the match. Tony just said, yeah, we're going to do it. And it puts Brian in an awkward spot where Brian has to show up because he's not going to lose the title. But like, we got a guy talking some shit. So is there some gaps in the logic? Yeah, 100%. Could it work? Yeah. Is it better for the company long term? Yes.
Yeah, I agree. All right, guys, let's get to the chat. I see you guys are blowing up a little bit, so thank you for being here. We already answered that question. No, JD is not going to be watching TNA.
That means I have to watch NXT too. The answer is no. As much as I love Tavion, I love Tavion Heights. I'm not watching NXT.
Yeah, I don't watch NXT. So, yeah. All right. Lee Connell says, I feel like anyone who has recorded a podcast has had it happen. It sucks so effing much.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Lee. You're 100% right.
Yeah. Eli Samuel Rosario, my boy, says, what didn't make sense to me is Jon Moxley saying Bryan Danielson. Yeah, we just kind of addressed that. Yeah. But if you kind of look deeper into it, I think there was an idea to connect everything, and maybe it just didn't come across that way on television. I get the feeling they will somehow tell that story over time about how it all connects and makes sense.
Excalibur has to say Jon Moxley manipulated the situation, and Nigel McGuinness took advantage of it. That's the way you have to sell it.
Moxley manipulated Darby to give up his match, and Nigel saw an opening and impromptu went out there and laid down a challenge, kind of like CM Punk did to Adam Page when Adam Page didn't know it was coming.
Which
to kind of pull his Punk card.
That did happen, and that is the way it came off. It came off like Nigel was just running out there to take advantage of it. Which, not perfect.
Yeah, let's see. Dan says no love for smarmy Ethan Page. None. None. Outrunners. JD, are you an Outrunners fan?
I mean, sure. A fan? No. Do I think they're maximizing the most time with a stupid gimmick? Yeah. They got that Fandango energy right now.
You know what? No, I'm calling bullshit on this whole thing. That's Johnny Swinger. It's all Johnny Swinger. They're copying Johnny Swinger, and I respect it, by the way. But I feel like if you're just going to copy the man, that guy needs a booking. Like, let him work that gimmick. Jimmy Jacobs was writing for that gimmick years ago. That gimmick got over in TNA with no fans. Sure, but I think it would work with those guys.
Is Johnny Swinger still in TNA? I haven't watched TNA in a while.
No, he's been gone for a while.
Yeah, they got okay, dude. Yes, if there's one thing to steal from that era of TNA, it's the Johnny Swinger stuff. 100% make Johnny Swinger the manager for the Outrunners, and I'm in. Sold. Then I'm a fan all the way.
King of the North is here. What's up, King? Said not much to say this week. Hope y'all's weeks have been great. Yeah, I would say pretty good week so far. Not bad. Not bad. Dan says Lexus King is still Pillman Jr., but completely exuding go away heat. Yeah, he's got channel changer heat. That guy.
So how could Tony miss on this guy? Totally fumbled the bag. He fumbled the bag. Anyone who talks like that, I just want to kick him right in their fucking taint. Anyone who says he fumbled the bag, shut the fuck up. God damn, talk like an adult.
I think right now the only. And I'm talking about both companies, right? I'm talking about both companies. The only guy that I could say that was absolutely fumbled was Swerve in WWE.
Yeah, agreed.
Because of what happened afterwards, right? And the way he's been able to be himself and become a huge megastar in AEW. I don't think WWE fumbled a lot of the people that went over to AEW because we've seen what's been happening with them. Did they fumble Keith Lee? No. Did they fumble Miro? Absolutely not. No. Did they fumble Andrade? No. Did AEW fumble Andrade? Nope. Is WWE currently fumbling Andrade? Nope. Andrade is fucking Andrade.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Yeah.
did AEW fumble Jade? Is Jade, because it's been a year, Jade has been the company. Is she a massive game-changing superstar that everybody said should be? No, she's in a tag team with Bianca Belair.
That
She's
tag
fine.
team's over. I will say that. Like
She
I
was
watched a
over
little bit of
for
Bash in
sure.
Berlin.
For sure
Tag
she's
team's super
over.
over. She's a big star, but did AEW fumble her? I don't think so, because I thought they presented her very much like a star and kept her undefeated until the very end. So I don't think that she was fumbled at all.
No,
and I don't think WWE's fumbling her. I think they signed her to a big contract, and then they realized some of her limitations. Like, oh shit.
That they're hiding her in a tag team with Bianca, who is a really good professional wrestler. So they're doing their best to try to get her better. But talent matters, man. And I'm not going to say she's Tom McGee, but
she's just not very fluid in the ring. But you know what? Like, I think when we were talking about Sid 2 weeks ago, and I'm not comparing her charisma to Sid. She doesn't have that, but she has presence, right? She has a great look. And I think that, she could play a role where she doesn't do much in the ring.
No, I agree.
I don't know why you would have to have her do all those moves. All those moves are stupid.
But that's not a game-changing superstar. You're a utility player, which is fine, quite frankly. There's nothing wrong with being that.
If your role is a beast, you could do well with someone who is a beast, and you can make money with somebody who's like a beast and doesn't have to, do all the moves and slap the leg and kick out at 2.9. You can get away with like them doing like 4 or 5 power moves and pandering to the crowd a little bit and do 7-minute matches. You probably still make money that way.
Dude, look at the money that they made with Kevin Nash. Oh wait, never mind. They didn't make any money with Kevin Nash.
Hey, Bischoff finally made some money with Nash, but Vince never could.
Bischoff did make money with Kevin Nash as a utility player.
Yeah.
No, wasn't as a booker. That's for goddamn sure.
No, it wasn't. Io says that y'all still doing dumb tweets. Jobber Nation finally showed his face. What did he say? I don't follow that guy.
I got blocked from him a long time ago.
Yeah, I've never interacted with that guy. Sounds like a total clown though. And he says the J word in his name. I hope he's not a girl dad. That can get you in trouble. Everything Pro Wrestling says Sting helped Flair twice. I was so mad when Flair, Anderson, and Pillman jumped him as a kid. Yeah, 95. I remember
95.
that.
The 95. The 90 turn was bad, and then he does it again. Like, and then he's teaming with Luger, and everyone's like, Luger, a piece of shit, and Sting's like, no man, Luger's cool. And then people suspect Sting, and Luger's like, fuck you, Sting, and then Sting's like, what the fuck, man? I got no friend. Like Sting is dumbest baby face of all time, but But here's the thing: is Sting always sees the good in people. Sting, the character, not Steve Borden, has to believe in the best of humanity, or else if he can't believe in the best of humanity, then he has to go sit up in the rafters and be all gothy.
Yeah,
which is what happened.
Yeah, a lot of people are giving us some other names. Tony Storm, Dean Ambrose is also being fumbled. Ambrose was a really big star there.
They made a lot of money with Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, I went to a couple of events with Ambrose as world champion, and he was headlining, and the place was packed. So
I've talked to many WWE fans who think that Jon Moxley is an abomination, and then Dean Ambrose was like the realness. I'm like, this is what the kids said in class actually, and I'm like, you guys are children, but I mean, like, there's like you can't say they didn't succeed with Jon Moxley and the Shield. The Shield was a game-changing gimmick in that company, and he was a major part of it. So I did. Tony Storm, you could say that.
I you know what? I think I agree with that one too.
Yeah, I'll give you Tony Storm. They really fucked Tony Storm up.
Yeah.
Triple H, man. Triple H really fucked over Tony Storm.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Really fucked her over.
Absolutely. We're probably gonna get in trouble now. Okay. AEW.
What?
Oh wait, hold on. I'm trying to move on, JD. I'm trying not to get us heat. Okay. All right. AEW is set for a major expansion with a new WBD TV deal. Okay, it's Groundhog Day, folks. Groundhog Day. But I do want to say on Sunday, you and I talked when we did our overtime. So everybody go to Patreon, patreon.com/The Mike and JD Show, where we did a special bonus episode for everybody. We did our all out reaction, but we also talked about all the news. And one of the news bits that we dropped, when I think we were one of the first people to drop it on a podcast or on any type of anything, was that AEW was possibly heading over to the Fox family of networks. I think that Andrew Zarian might have said something to Wrestling Observer Live, but it never really got reported until like Tuesday because Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio talked about it. But here's what he had to say. So I'm not talking about the WBD because that's signed, sealed, delivered. They just haven't made the announcement yet. Ongoing. So we're going to move on from that. But I do want to talk about the Fox deal because that is going. So this is what Dave said. He said, everyone knows, but the WBD deal is a done deal. There are going to be changes from what I gather. There's going to be a pay-per-view component in this deal. Exactly what it is, I don't know, but they're doubling the number of the past deal, and WBD is getting rights to the pay-per-views, and that makes doubling the number make more sense in a lot of ways. This news follows AEW's recent trademark filing of AEW Shockwave, sparking rumors that the promotion is also exploring new programming possibilities on a Fox network. However, Meltzer clarified that while discussions have taken place, no deal with Fox is finalized. The Fox deal is not done. I know a lot of people have been talking about the idea on the Fox network. I would strongly suspect it would not be the Fox network. So we're talking about like the terrestrial Fox network. It would probably be another station, whether it's FS1, whether it's a different station, whether it's streaming component. So there you go. It is absolutely on the table. It could happen. But what it looks like, no one really knows.
It sounds like they're trying to figure out what to do with it. Like we freelanced this idea about a year ago when it started getting reported that WWE and Fox were done. So we flirted with the idea of maybe they would pick up AEW, but kind of laughed it off because like AEW ratings were kind of hurting. The company was cold, blah, blah, blah. But it was kind of fun to imagine. And now it seems like there might be there is smoke to the fire. I think it's going to happen. It's all going to be a matter of where. Like, is it going to be FS1? Is it going to be on a streaming? Is it going to be something on terrestrial Fox? When I had a lot of people reach out to me and said my idea was great about them doing like Clash of the Champions style seasonal stuff on terrestrial Fox. So I'm going to lay credit. If that actually happens, that was my idea. And
of course.
I need to be attributed to that every time someone says that. So I think it's so weird because the company is kind of cold right now, but they're exceeding financially.
They are like ratings are like flat. You know, they're not like they were up a little bit this week. They were up a little bit this week, so you got to give them credit for that. But I would say ratings are flat. Ticket sales, I think they had 2,700 people in a 20,000 seat arena this week.
We just got a text from our buddy.
Oh gosh, what did he say?
I'm not going to repeat it.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah. Okay, we're not repeating that one. So yeah. So ticket sales have kind of flattened out. I think Collision last week, going up against SmackDown and NFL, did a TNA on Access number.
Come on, who was going to watch that? I mean, it's a useless Collision on top of that too. The night before the pay-per-view. I mean, like they knew what they were getting.
Yeah. They should not have moved it to Friday. They should have just kept it on Saturday and just moved it like 2 hours early.
Or just not done the show. Or just not done one this week.
Yeah. Like why? Like I don't know, but look, the networks are paying for it. They want it, so you got to give it to them.
No, I get it. So you have to like eat it. Like we have to get past. We have to understand that like it's not about winning the time slot all the time. It's about making your partner happy. If the partner, hey man, if your partner says, "Hey, I need you to do this, baby, I need you to do this for me," you got to say, "Okay, baby, I'll take care. I take care." I mean,
but if they do get a Fox deal, and let's just say that it's a brand new first run programming show. Because I also kind of suspect that this might be kind of like a compilation show, like a best of the week type of deal, kind of a wraparound show, which I think would be fine.
We grew up with those shows.
What's that?
We grew up with shows like that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and they were in syndication. You sometimes you would get an original match, but really it was just recapping all of the other hours of programming that the company's already had. And I used to watch those shows, especially because if I missed stuff earlier in the week, that was the way I got to catch up.
Can I be honest with you? I don't watch Rampage or Collision because life is just hard. If Fox did something like that where I could just catch up on the highlights of that stuff, I would watch that over Collision and the Rampage show that I don't watch right now. I think a wrestling magazine style show is something we haven't seen since the early 90s. And I don't know, maybe it'd be a breath of fresh air. Maybe it would suck. Who knows? I would check it out.
Well, and they got 2 guys on their broadcasting team that have tons of experience hosting those types of shows with Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross.
It's true.
And they could just, talk about what happened in the week and break down the action and kind of explain the storylines and, fill in the plot holes. And do all those things, which but who knows what it is? But I and King of the North had a funny comment. He said, "Why hasn't TNA backdoored this TV deal yet, Mike?" Look, I'm sure they want a TV deal, but you also have to be wanted, and that's the problem. And I think that if FS1 or Fox or whoever picks up a fourth level, like we're talking like D level programming from AEW instead of your A level program from TNA, you got to be punching air right now. Now, I don't know that they were even in negotiations. Probably, it's very likely that TNA never even called Fox about a deal. But I would say if that deal isn't done yet, I'm TNA. I'm calling them up and be like, what do we got to do to make this deal happen? I don't think they'll do it.
The AEW name is so much more valuable than the TNA name.
It is. It is.
Am I going to get crucified in the chat? I mean, like, that's just real though.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the reality of where we're at in the landscape. So yeah.
Oh well. I mean, like, realistically, I think they could get a TV deal with some smaller network, and I think I've come around to thinking that they will pick up something. I don't know what that is, but I think something.
Yeah. He was actually making a joke about a conversation we had previously, and I didn't pick up on it. I'm usually better than that. Sorry, King. But there was a guy on Twitter that said that he was like serious on Twitter. I think he might be special needs, so I'm not going to make fun of the guy, but he was saying that TNA should just go take the WBD deal from AEW. I'm like, yeah, buddy, that sounds like a good idea.
Like it's the Money in the Bank contract they just put above the ring. You just got to climb the ladder.
Just waltz in there and be like, yo, Zaslav, look, I know you got AEW, but come on. We got Joe Hendry for the time being.
I'm going to assume this is either a kid or maybe you're right, where they just don't understand how business works. Like, it's not, this isn't like Christian Cage's AEW title match. You can't just like present yourself and be like, well, this is mine now.
Yeah.
Like, life doesn't work like that.
Yeah. All right. Got some more news and then we'll go ahead and call it a night. AEW eyeing the Hurt Syndicate. Rumors are swirling about the potential introduction of a new faction in AEW called the Hurt Syndicate, with Bobby Lashley, MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and others kind of revamping the Hurt business from WWE. There no formal agreement has been reached. It's clear AEW is interested in recreating the Hurt business. I think Ibu even went online and said that creative has been pitched already. So Ibu of Wrestle Purists, and so he's pretty plugged in there. But Dave said that that was Sean Rossap. Sorry, it was Sean.
Oh, okay.
Sean said, I try to give credit to where credit's due. That was from Fightful Select. I think that he said that no agreement has been reached. Yeah.
Give me $5. I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, like, it's a WWE retread act.
I was a fan of the Hurt business. MVP has got to be pushing 50. Bobby Lashley's is 47, 48. Shelton Benjamin's like 47, 48. And we have all these, probably older, okay. And we have all these young talent that are fighting for a spot on television that we just can't use. I'm just like, I think right now, I would just rather see like those guys get opportunities. I'm a Bobby Lashley fan. I love that guy. I was a fan, like when he was in ECW, I just liked his look. I just liked everything he did. I watched him in MMA. He was not a great fighter, but he was still fun to watch in MMA. And then, of course, I watched him when he was in TNA and then back to WWE. I'm a huge fan. I don't think AEW needs them. And in fact, I think it would be a net negative.
If this is a thing to get somebody else over, like if the whole plan is to bring these guys in to make Leo Rush finally achieve what we think he's capable of, but he's never been able to hit that. Okay. If this whole thing is to prop up someone that's already there, sure. I'm just not interested in. For me, I don't see, like, if MVP. I think MVP is a hell of a talker. Always have.
Yeah.
I think Bobby Lashley is not a great talker, but a good worker. If you bring these guys in to prop somebody else up and let them become a star, I can get on board with it. I'm not interested in Bobby Lashley wrestling for the AEW title at this stage in his career.
Yeah, and I'm not interested in him wrestling for any of the titles.
I agree. They have like a 30 of them in that company.
Yeah.
So I mean, like,
I don't know. I feel like, oh, hold on. Dobby fact checked me.
oh,
Here he goes. He goes, Bobby is 48, Shelton's 49, and MVP is 50. I'd assume MVP is just a manager. Yeah, MVP is just a mouthpiece. He can't go in the ring anymore. He's too beat up. But
he's beat up. Yeah. Good mouthpiece. So MVP is great promo.
He is.
Always has been. So I think I'm not opposed. I love managers, right? I love managers. I think Don Callis is underutilized in this promotion. I like smart Mark Sterling. I think he is underutilized. If it were up to me, one of my favorite eras of WWF television is when they had the managers, right? I think managers are great, and I think it helps talent that can't that their personality can hold them back a little bit. So I don't hate the idea of MVP coming in as a manager at all. I think Stokely's underrated, to be quite honest with you. Underutilized, I should say. I don't know if I want the Hurt Business. Just because I feel like that's something from somewhere else. That's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't do anything for me.
yeah, it doesn't do anything for me in AEW. Would it do something for me in TNA? Well, that's different. TNA needs stars.
Mm-hmm.
TNA needs people that can work the top of the card. Like, so yeah, of course that would.
Different.
So that does not make me a hypocrite. Like, I just think they would fit better there. Now, TNA might not have the dough to be able to pull that off, but I think that they would fit better there. But yeah, so I don't know. We'll keep monitoring that situation. I got two more stories, and then we'll go back to the chat. Okay, WWE plans to reduce house shows amidst TKO's new direction. The parent company TKO is making some noticeable changes to the company's operations. One of the more significant shifts comes from WWE's decision to scale back on house shows. In a recent appearance on Goldman and Sachs Communicopia and Technology Conference, Mark Shapiro, the TKO president, emphasized that WWE is cutting back on marginally profitable untelevised events. He goes on to say, we're cutting events at WWE. We're taking our low margin, marginally profitable events, untelevised events that Vince put into place to grow the brand. Well, it was 300 events last year and will be roughly 250 this year. Next year, it'll be close to 200. So they're basically really scaling down their house show business and just focusing on television. But when you got so many television shows, it's like, it's not a crazy thing.
I think this is something where Tony was a bit of a pioneer. And I think Eric Bischoff 30 years ago had the right idea. I think that in this marketplace, back in the day, you made your money in the house shows. Like Jim Cornette will talk about how you got $50 for working TV, but you got real money for going on a house show. Like you were doing the commercial. The TV was commercials to go to the show. That has changed. That is not the business anymore and hasn't been for a long time. So I know Triple H tried to gaslight us and to say, well, they need to work all these extra days. I can't wait to see what he says if someone has the guts to bring this up to him at a public event, at a scrum, and in 2 years, and they're running 100 events, because it's going to keep dwindling. Right. So I agree with this. I mean, why, there's no reason, especially with the style of wrestling that's popular today, that is faster paced, it is more high impact. Guys are working deeper into their careers, right? AJ Styles 47. We just talked about Bobby Lashley 48, right? Dudes work a lot longer with a higher and with more expected from them than they ever have.
Yeah.
Why expose them? Why put them in the ring for a couple thousand people and have the risk getting hurt in front of nobody, right? I've always thought house shows. When I was a kid, I hated going to house shows because to me, it felt like it didn't count because it wasn't on TV. And I think a lot of people in our demographic, age-wise, felt that way growing up. That, this isn't on TV, so it's not real. It just, it just feels like an alternate universe kind of deal. Back in the day, it was the opposite.
Well, on TV, they never acknowledged the outcomes of the matches.
Yeah,
that were at the house show, so it just didn't make sense.
So it's almost like it's almost like WWE in a way kind of killed interest in the product of the house shows because they didn't, like you said, they never felt like they counted. Yeah. Right. So I think it's a great move for them. Why wouldn't you do that? Why not minimize your risk?
King of the North says, seems like they're running from the grind to me.
There you go.
Which is what they accused Ospreay of. I totally get it. I do think some of the younger talent, benefit from getting a lot of those reps. But you can't really sell tickets if you're not going to put the older talent. Cause I think AJ Styles benefits more from time off and, those guys, Yeah, dude, do you remember what 47, 48-year-olds looked like when we were in the 90s that were wrestling?
They felt ancient. They looked like Iron Mike Sharp. And I
Yeah,
don't even think he was that old. Like 47 when I was 12 seemed like an ancient human being. And I'm 44 right now. And
dude, I remember in 1996 when it's at Survivor Series when Jimmy Snuka came out and was like the special the mystery partner in one of the Survivor Series 8-man tag matches.
he
He
felt
looked like the
ancient.
oldest dude. He looked like the oldest dude on the planet.
Mhm.
It's so weird to me. Well, I mean, look, we got better nutrition. People take care of their bodies a lot better. HGH is
Drugs.
like more prevalent,
And
and it's
people
like
aren't
better for you.
the heavy drug use isn't the thing anymore. Like guys
Yeah.
aren't doing tons of blow to stay awake on the road. Do you remember when Superstar Graham had the comeback in 87?
Yeah. And he was what, like 40?
42,
40, dude, I'm 41 right now. It's
44.
yeah. So, dude, it's so weird. You know, it's funny. You brought up the heavy drug usage. Could you imagine what would have happened to like a couple of ECW wrestlers if they had the exact same match as Swerve and Hangman had? They would have overdosed in the hotel room later that night.
Our hearts would have exploded.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, 100%.
because they would have just drowned themselves with somas and booze and cocaine. Just,
100%.
yeah,
The world this is and it's better. Like people today, like our generation specifically, lives better, cleaner. I don't think that we look the way that people our age looked when we were growing up.
yeah.
Right? I'm
Because, dude,
44,
I'll
you're
be
40.
like, my dad had no concept of nutrition.
Ditto.
You know, and like, and my parents and like my grandparents, they were drinking Pepsis at like 8 a.m. and like all day, you know, and it was just like fried foods and all kind of like raviolis and like they would just feed you whatever. They had no concept of it. My wife made sure that I had chicken, vegetables, and a carb of some sort, like a low carb, like brown rice, and like it was a well balanced diet. She made sure my kid had a well balanced diet, and I'm like, if this were my parents, like they would have just given me like green beans and raviolis and told me to go sit in front of the TV. It's just like where we are as a society. We've learned so much from the failures of the past.
Dude, I meal prep every week on Sunday night. I meal prep my lunches. This week I did a rice and I did a fried rice and a peanut sauce, like super high protein. Like I have Icelandic yogurt because it's really high protein for breakfast in the morning with lactose free milk because it's good. Like I blast myself with the protein because it's really healthy for me. Like this is stuff my parents, our parents, I should say, never thought about. And our grandparents, the greatest generation. I just talked about this with my wife. We were on a walk today. I was talking about how that like our grandparents' generation came back from war and like you get this more than anybody, like traumatized and just drank. Like the amount of alcoholism from not the boomers, but the greatest generation was ridiculous.
World War II and Vietnam specifically, those two wars really took a toll on those folks.
For sure. And like we're just better about stuff. We eat better. We're smarter. We're taking care of ourselves up here. Like, I'm happy. I mean, like, I feel really good at my age. And I know we both work out religiously.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, and we're just regular guys.
I know. I got accused of having abs a couple weeks ago because I posted a picture. And I had to tell him, I was like, brother, I almost passed out holding my breath on that day.
I understand. You got to show off those things sometimes, you know. Quick little glance at the gun.
Quick little glance at the gun.
Not a big one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's how it goes. Like, and I'm proud of literally our entire generation. I'm with my kid. Like my kid's not playing soccer, so like we go to the gym. Like I go into the wrestling room and I got him doing pull-ups and we got these rings and he's doing stuff when I'm like trying to teach him young that like, you know, exercise is awesome, you know, and he's like freaking strong for a little kid. Like he's a strong 8-year-old. So I mean, like it's cool. Like this is the stuff that we got to do, and I love seeing it from these wrestlers that like an Adam Copeland, 51 maniac, tried to jump off a cage and he didn't get hurt because he wasn't in shape. He got hurt because he was stupid.
Terry Funk was doing that stuff at 51, but he looked like every bit of 51 when he was
71 when he was doing it. But I mean, like, think about too the travel these guys did. They drove across the world, the country in cars, in sedans.
Mm-hmm.
Like John Cena was the first guy to say, "I'm gonna get a bus."
Yeah.
You
That
know,
was real smart. It's like, look, rock stars are getting tour buses, so should I.
And
Makes
look
total
at
sense.
rock stars. Look how old some of these rock stars are. These guys are still on tour. I went and saw Metallica. They're in their 60s. They
Yeah.
look good.
And they're still rocking. Yeah.
And they can play because, like, dude, playing a show with that kind of energy, it's exhausting. It takes a lot out of you, and you have to be in shape to do this. So, I mean, like, I do like. Granted, the supplements are the best
Yeah.
they've ever been.
Yeah. Oh,
Like, if they're cleaner than they've. I mean, like,
they are. Like my doctor said I couldn't get that the TRT said that my testosterone levels are like where they're supposed to be. I'm like, that was not what I was looking for. Why do you want to? I told her, I think I have low testosterone. She's like, why? I said, well, I'm 40, and I saw on a commercial. I go in there and they tested me and they're like, your levels are fine, dude. It's like you can't get it. So, and then I told my buddy, and he's like, oh, you need to handle some business like right before, and your testosterone levels will drop. And I was like,
just naturally.
You told me that. Now I have to wait till I get a new doctor. You should have gave some business into some tissues right before you went in there.
I had not considered this, and this is some game-changing thoughts going into my head right now.
Yeah, because they'll just give you cream too. You don't even have to do injectables.
Yeah. My wife would be so mad at me having this conversation. Yeah, but like I said, like the stuff is better than it's ever been. People are smarter, they eat better, they train harder, they train smarter, right? It's like it's a different world. Guys can go. Bobby Lashley. Did you see what Bobby Lashley looks like?
He's an alien, that guy.
Like, he doesn't have any hair, so there might be something to that. Like, it's unreal. Like, I don't know, man.
And I'm sure he's on some of that good medicine, but he's also just a genetic freak, like naturally, you can tell.
A lot of being jacked, like jacked is genetics. Yeah. Some people can train super hard their whole life and look pretty good. Like some people never look amazing. I mean, some people train a little bit and that's like they look incredible. Genetics plays a huge role in a lot of this stuff, but you can make up for it by just working your ass off too.
Yeah. All right, guys, a last story and then we get back to the chat. I know we have a lot of TNA fans in the chat tonight, so I'm going to throw you guys a bone. If you are a TNA fan and you're here with us, make sure you like and subscribe. Also head to patreon.com/the Mike and JD show, where I will be back with very likely another double episode this coming up weekend, because we got Victory Road. That's tomorrow night. So Impact was tonight. Victory Road is tomorrow night. And so I'll be back on Saturday. I'll be live on the Patreon, and you guys can come in, and I always do a little chat session with everybody, and I recap the shows and talk all the news. Well, TNA got some good news this week, and so I thought I'd go ahead and talk about it. Victory Road, that is tomorrow night, is likely to become the best-selling United States show of 2024 for TNA. PW Insider's reporting that the event in San Antonio is expected to become the company's best-selling show in the U.S. for 2024, with only limited tickets available. The September 13 show and the following night's TV taping are shaping up to be a massive success. So it looks like the previous one was actually Hard to Kill, where they were like 1,600. So it looks like they've blown past that. Wow. With a C show in Victory Road. They're doing this on a 2-week build in San Antonio. Hold on, Dobby's been getting the count for me. He's been giving me the updated stats every week for Brace for Impact. But the floor seats just sold out. They're in a pretty big venue called the Boeing Center. They did a really good job of pandering to the military. But I was like, because San Antonio is a huge military community, and I was like, they should have sent Steve Macklin out there to go do that, but they did not. They sent Nemeth and Moose and Laredo Kid to go around and pander to San Antonio people, but they still like knocked it out of the park. But
Laredo Kid, I get. Why wouldn't they send Macklin? Why wouldn't they send a military guy?
I mean, it could have been a scheduling thing, but I was like, look, San Antonio, I would say San Antonio and Honolulu, or like Oahu, like this island, the two biggest military communities in the U.S., I would say. It's huge. And so we typically, as you guys have known, every time Macklin loses a match, I get fucking pissed.
Every time.
But, we take care of our own, right? And so, especially like enlisted guys, and we make up the largest fighting force enlisted people. We outnumber the officers by quite a bit. So we would have definitely come out to support Macklin.
How many you think they're going to hit? Think they hit 2K?
Probably 17, 18 for them,
good.
but for TNA, that's pretty damn
Fucking
good.
awesome. Like that's. Yeah. I remember going to TNA shows, Impact shows at the old Skyway studio when it was like 100 people and some chairs. Like they've really for TNA, they're hot. Yeah, company's hot. You know, like everything is relative, but for TNA, this is some good crowds for them. They're doing a good job keeping their faithful. And I hated on this. I'll be the first to admit it. The WWE thing is helping them. Can't say it isn't.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, people are trying to give credit to old Spooky Chew, Wendy Chew, but most of these tickets were sold before she was announced last night as being a part of it. So the Swink in the Voices of Wrestling chat calls her Spooky Chew. And I was like, somebody should make a song called Rock and Roll Spooky Chew based off of the Rick Derringer song. And I did it.
Oh, good. Oh, you didn't.
I did it.
Did you have it?
Do you want to hear it?
Mike, you know the answer to that question.
All right. I did do it. This is the debut.
You are dangerous with this stuff.
I am dangerous.
So
honestly,
dangerous.
I'm probably going to delete my account after this one.
No, you damn well better not.
But so I had this idea. I had this like rock and roll, hoochie coo rock, you know, that song. But I was like, what if we did the rock and roll spooky chew? The Queen of Nightmares is coming for you. So I started putting that together, and I kind of made a little ditty here. Take a let me crank this up. We need the people to be able to hear this.
The sweet team is here. Rock and roll, spooky chew. Dreams will come and haunt you too. Rock and roll, spooky chew. She's the girl of your nightmare. She's coming for you. She's the queen of dreams. You won't stand a chance. Messing with Wendy Chew, you're in a trance. She hits you with a pillow, knocks you to the floor. You're stuck in a nightmare, begging for no more. Rock and roll, spooky chew.
All right, that's enough of that. I think we lost a bunch of viewers after that.
Dude, you know what's sad about that? It sounds like something Jimmy Hart would have done for WCW in the late 90s, early 2000s. Like it's awful, don't get me wrong, but it's not as awful as pro wrestling music typically is. You know what I'm saying? Like it kind of fits.
It kind of fits. Like it's like a parody thing. And I'm not actually like being mean to her at all. Like
there's nothing mean.
yeah. But I thought I just had the idea and I just could not get the damn idea out of my head. And I'm blaming the Swink in the Voices of Wrestling Discord. It's all his fault.
Did you post that in the Discord? Because
I have not. I was like, I wanted to debut it on the pod.
You should. So. I mean, like tomorrow at some point, you really should tag the Swink and like post that because it's
you know. I think I will. I'll put, but I'm gonna tweet because I have I just like made a little video for like it's just her picture in like a Apple movie, just her picture with the song. That way I can upload the audio to Twitter. So
I wonder if it's similar enough to Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo where we're gonna get sued.
No, it's completely. It's completely different because it goes rock and roll, hoochie coo, rock and roll, hoochie coo. Come on out and spread the news, whatever it is. Yeah. So completely different. And it's not different riffs, different everything, but it's in the style of Rick Derringer.
So so Jimmy Hart, you Jimmy Harted this thing.
I Jimmy Harted and what Dale Oliver.
Dale Oliver, yeah.
Two of my musical heroes.
Marvelous Me, still one of the greatest of all time. You are significantly dangerous, and I'm going to need something every week from you on this show because now you've set a precedent that must be followed up on.
Well, you got to give me ideas. I paid $10 and I got 500 songs. I've already canceled the subscription because I'm like, my wife's not gonna let me play with this stuff any longer. I'm having way too much fun.
Okay, so we have a thread. We have a group thread with John Muse. So John, we need to throw Mike ideas whenever we have them. We have a month to put together a catalog of ridiculousness. So that is my challenge to our good friend John Muse and I.
Yeah, of just really bad song ideas, which is what I just had.
Oh,
but
terrible.
It's so funny. It's like It's not even really it's a stupid song, but it's not even a bad song. Just like the software just kicks it
No,
out.
it's corny, but I mean, like, it's no more corny than what we hear. Like, what was that guy who does WWE music? Def Rebel? That's not any worse than anything that guy has done.
Yeah,
Like,
Dobby just referenced him.
like,
Better than
yeah,
90% of the Jeff Rebel stuff. Yeah.
like, that's no worse than the LA Knights song. The LA Knights song is the worst fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
It's so awful.
Yeah.
But that guy, it's too bad too, because like as much who are those other guys, the CEOs? Those guys were way better than what they have now.
I thought CEO was good because they had the Nakamura song and
they didn't loop like they got
Glorious.
criticized because their shit would loop, but I mean, like, who cares? It was fine.
Yeah. All right, we'll get to the chat one last time and then we'll go ahead and move on. IO Productions, in other words, they'll top the hard to kill crowd number from the Palms, of course. Dobby says $10 GA tickets for military was a smart move. Military loves free and cheap. It's our favorite thing. And we love to be pandered to. Absolutely. Which is why every politician loves the military. You guys will always notice that. If you get one politician that comes out against the military, they lose. Like, it's a losing strategy. So
I've never heard. Well, I can't say that. There have been politicians that have said, but very few and far between.
Yeah. They're reading the dogs, JD. They're reading the dogs. They're reading the cats. Sorry.
I work in a high school, and the fact that my high school kids were like, "This guy's like, can you believe this crap?" I mean, like, it made me feel good for like the future that people were like, "What is this guy talking about?"
Yeah, I almost made it "They're eating the dogs" T-shirt. Then I was like, I don't want it like my T-shirt thing flooded with Trumpers.
Okay. Yo, I'd take their money. I need a song to "They're Eating the Dogs." What could like?
Unfortunately, somebody already did it, and like it was on Twitter today. Yeah, it was like they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, and they put a video of Trump dancing. It was pretty funny.
I gotta see that actually. I was hoping we could capitalize on this, but I'm as always behind the curve.
Yeah, Keep It Wolfson says last time TNA was in Dallas, there was like 200 people there. Yeah,
that's a big.
And then people, Nathan and Terrence like the Wendy Chu song. So there you go. And they said it's better than her actual ring music. I've never heard her ring music. I just saw her choke out Jordan Grace on Tuesday night. I watched that clip, and she's wrestling Jordan tomorrow night on Hard to Kill. Hard to Kill, a lot of rematches. I wish it was a better storyline driven card, but look, whatever they did it right. They were able to get people in there, and so I think the relationship with WWE has definitely benefited them because guys like Joe Hendry and like people like Jordan Grace and. They just had Hammerstone on NXT this week.
I saw that.
I had a good little match, 5 minutes. He lost in 5 minutes. Everybody's like mad. I'm like, he just lost in 5 minutes on TNA. Come on. Like 2 months ago. So relax.
He's fine.
Yeah.
He's always wanted to do WWE stuff, and that's probably his best shot to try to get in there. So good for I thought that. So man, good for Hammerstone. I know it's like a bucket list thing for him.
And then John Mew says it fits in with the Fabulous Ones video era. Yeah. Well, that's what I was going for. It was Rick Derringer. It was like that was the tribute to Derringer.
John, you heard my challenge. We need to challenge Mike with this before he runs out.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, that's gonna do it for us this week. Like I said, go to patreon.com/the Mike and JD show. If you're just a fan of the audio and you just listen to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, you can get this right to your Patreon feed, and it'll be ad free. You'll get it before everybody else. Joe and Rich typically get it out sometime on Friday, but you'll have this in your inbox right before you wake up in the morning. I get it up immediately after the show is over. And then also we do bonus content like overtime. I will pop in randomly, do articles. JD's doing fiction stories. We got all kinds of stuff like that. And then of course, if you're a TNA fan, our Patreon is probably the best place to be because I don't think anybody really covers in audio form TNA the way that I do on Saturday mornings. I got my man Dobby the Brain Heenan coming up with statistical analysis of their ticket sales. Get people contributing to the show all the time. And so, come on, be a part of the party. Go to patreon.com/the Mike and JD show. And that is going to do it for us this week. And until next time, mahalo.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. Amen, no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This isn't A game, better bring your A game.
Hello everyone, my name is Taylor.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are the co-hosts of Jumping Bomb Audio, the #1 show all about the world of Joshi Pro Wrestling. Episodes drop every other Monday where we discuss the biggest Joshi news review shows, and preview the hottest upcoming Joshi action.
So whether you're a new fan or an old fan, we've got something here for you at Jumping Bomb Audio.
Check us out on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.